Hey everyone, want to tell you about one of our sponsors here on Coptales and Cocktails. It's a first responder clothing line called Emery Lane. Emery Lane has a very, very big variety of products for women and children, and they're quickly increasing their offerings for men as well, as you can see Howard in every single week. The thing I personally love about Emery Lane is they are family owned and operated by a law enforcement officer's wife, and all products are designed here in the USA in Nashville, Tennessee. Emery Lane has one of the largest selections of exclusively designed first responder apparel on the market today. You got to go check them out on Instagram or Facebook at Emery Lane Co. and use promo code STICKS for 20% off your next order. That's promo code STICKS, like my nickname, STICKS, for 20% off your next order at emerylaneco.com, EMORYLANECO.com. Are you planning to move to a new location anytime soon? Crime in Place is the app that helps you stay aware and stay safe. Crime in Place will provide you with FBI crime rates for any location. It can even tell you about specific property or personal crime rates. It's easy to use and it's free to download. Before you go anywhere, go to the crime.app for Crime in Place. Stay aware, stay safe with Crime in Place for your iPhone. So, hey, Howard.
Yeah, Sean.
Man, one of the things that I remember from Live PD that the viewers absolutely loved, I know they loved it more than the officers themselves that were on the show, definitely more than Dan, Tom, and myself in studio. It was one of the biggest things we ever saw on Twitter, which was such a huge part of that show, was their love of canines, the police dogs.
Oh, canines, and that's spelled K-9, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And, they are such a valuable tool, partner to those of us in law enforcement. And what have we not had here on this show before?
We haven't had any dogs.
We have not had a dog, but we've got a little something different today. We do have a dog. We've actually got one in studio.
Hey, I take that back. We had one dog. We had Chad on. He's a dog.
Chad is a dog.
Yeah, he's our dog.
He's a dog that just fetches and chews up red boots.
That's right. He's a red boot dog for dang sure. Yeah, so we have had one dog on.
That is. We've had a dog of a drink before on here as well.
Yeah, that Apple Crown is...
That's pretty bad. But our guest today is a guy that I've worked with myself for a few years, kind of legendary on our police department as a canine handler. And I'm thrilled to have him on here to talk about his time with his dog and talk about the dog that he has in here with us, as well as another puppy he worked with. But what do we do on Coptales and Cocktails?
Well, we talk. We drink.
And we drink. That's there's two parts to it. Cocktails where we talk, cocktails where we have to have a drink.
Absolutely, because it lowers our inhibitions. It's truth serum, right?
We're both very, very shy people, so we need these two to be able to do this show.
For sure. So what are we going to drink?
What are we going to drink? Well, our guest got to pick something, and our guest here is Chad Murtaugh. And Chad, what did you pick for us to drink today?
I picked Yuengling.
Yuengling.
Ooh, yes, he did, and it's cold.
It is very cold.
This is a import. Like, people around the rest of the country can probably get this at their liquor stores, but for some reason, Yuengling has boycotted Oklahoma. We don't get this here, so this is a fine interstate commerce drink that we're having today.
It is, and for those that are listening that have never heard of it, I mean, it's a beer. Yuengling traditional lager. I know Chad, every time he went out of town, he was snagging some. David Bryce, another guy we work with, he was a big one on it. So
he's in Iceland right now.
He actually is. I've been seeing that. But yeah, so every time guys go out of town, they bring back some of this for the boys. So thank you for sharing it with us today.
But you forgot, we got two guests today.
We do.
Yeah, we got Chad, but we also have his partner Riggs.
Chad, tell us a little bit about Riggs.
Riggs was my canine for a while, my partner on the department for about 8 years. So he's been a big part of my life, big part of the department for a long time, and done a lot of great things.
And we'll get to some of the excitement, some of the work the two of you guys have done, but he is now retired. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, he retired last year, so he's kind of just living the home life and living the good life. Retired like you.
Retired. It is a pretty good life. I have no complaints about it.
Sean's mowing the yard. Is Riggs mowing the yard?
He'll eat some grass once in a while, but that's about it.
He's leaving some things out in the yard.
That is for sure.
So, Chad, how did you get involved in becoming a canine handler?
I've always wanted to be a part of the canine unit ever since I got in the department. I've just had a passion for working with animals. And when I got in the department, the canine unit seemed like the perfect fit. They got to go to all the hot calls. They got to go to the robbery calls. They got to go to all the violent calls on the department. They didn't really take all the monotonous reports. They got to kind of be in the action all the time. So that's what really piqued my interest in being involved in that.
Well, as a kid, were you into animals? Did you live on a farm? Did you have horses? Did you have like pet hamsters that would escape and you get more pet hamsters?
No, I think I had a goldfish at one time, maybe
Yeah.
that died, but I've had dogs growing up. And I just really liked the companionship, man's best friend, So
Yeah.
it was a good fit. You get to be with them a lot. As a handler, you're with them more than your family because you're with them 24 hours a day. You're with them at home. You're with them at work. They get to be involved in all the serious calls that you have. So it's just a great bond that you have with them.
Gotcha. So as a child, what was your first dog?
I think it was some mutt that we had, just some black and white mutt, and it just kind of was a crazy mutt. That's all I really remember after that. So,
Well, when you got on the department, just here in Tulsa, and for our listeners out there and viewers, so Tulsa is a large agency. I mean, we're manpower is an issue right now, but roughly it's about 830 officers here. So we've got a good-sized canine unit. We've got dogs that are assigned to the airport, and things like that. But Chad will talk about what Riggs was as a partner. But here you have to spend 3 years in patrol before you can apply for a specialty unit, and canine is a specialty unit to get into. What was that process like when you were eligible to apply for, to try to get a spot in that unit?
And so it was really competitive. It's always been a pretty competitive spot to get into, mainly for the fact that once people are in there, they don't leave unless they're promoted or they retire out of that unit. So when a spot becomes available, usually there's a lot of people vying for that spot. You have to, it's an interview process. There's a physical aspect of it to make sure that you can do the job because it's very physical. You're going over fences, you're getting dragged, you're, wrestling the dog. They look at your work history, if you're a proactive person, and that sort of aspect. So once you kind of go through that, you go through the interview process. If you're lucky enough to make it and selected, you're given a dog and you begin the training process with that dog.
So what made you become the police or one time or 5-0?
I actually went to school and started the firefighter route because everybody loves a firefighter.
Yes, the heroes.
Yeah.
Calendar.
Heroes.
Yeah. And then I kind of wasn't feeling it. I was like, man, drive fast, carry a gun. I'm like, that's for me. I could do that. And kind of went that route, went to school for it, finished, came to Tulsa, applied, got hired, and the rest is history.
Where were you originally from?
I'm from right outside Cleveland, Ohio. So
Okay.
I grew up north, had the opportunity to come down here and really fell in love with the area, the people that are here. The Southern hospitality is great. Everyone's pretty friendly, great department, and it's just had a great time.
Do you know a guy named Ramon Reed from Ohio?
I do not.
Okay, he was one of our guests last week, wasn't he?
He was a fantastic guest, and no, you guys have not crossed paths. If so, it'd be in your law enforcement profession. But I want to go back when I was saying about the firemen being heroes. Everybody, we have much love for the firemen. I mean, it's a fun, friendly banter back and forth between us. So I know a fireman here in Tulsa by the name of Brody Bowman. I know out at their station, those guys actually listen to this podcast regularly because they send messages. So much love to all our firemen out there, and Brody and those guys at the station.
As far as first responders go, I mean, firefighters and police have always been fighting for second behind the nurses.
Oh,
we know
big
that
time.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all can have that. We know who's on top. Gold medal right here
That's
every
it.
day.
That is it. Yep. You guys are out there dealing with all the shit that we're dealing with. Yeah. You guys, exact same thing.
Exact same thing. Exactly the same.
So Chad, so you apply, you go through the process. You're blessed with getting a dog. How do you end up actually with Riggs?
So Riggs was actually my second dog. I started the training process. We do all of our training process in-house. My first dog, we started the training process, and he kind of wasn't showing the attributes that we really wanted in a dog, that they're strong and independent, confident in a lot of situations, not afraid of gunfire, which is really hard to find a dog that'll fit all those categories, are kind of like the all-star of dogs.
You're describing things Howard looks for in a woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strong, confident, not scared of gunfire.
Strong on plow.
There you go. Yeah, so my first dog, we kind of washed out. We want these dogs to be able to do the job. And then I got Riggs. He was able to pass all those tests with flying colors. He's kind of crazy, but has a great temperament at the same time. And he's able to play with kids, but he will go out and tussle with the worst of them.
Yeah, he will. He bites. I know this is a fact. I can attest to that. So whenever you got Riggs, he was a puppy, right? He was like 8 weeks old?
He was about 2 years old. So we look for our dogs when we get our dogs that are about, 18 to 24 months old. So they're confident and their personalities are set and being able to do the job, but also that we're going to get our workability and our money's worth out of the dog so we can work them for a long time. We're not going to get a dog that's 5 or 6 years old, invest that in him, and then, retire the dog like 2 years later. So he was about 2 years old when I got him. Came from overseas with his passport from the Czech Republic.
Okay. And is the Czech Republic known for police dogs?
Europe is. Mainly of our dogs come from Europe. They have a stricter breeding program than the United States. We get asked that a lot. And their lines and how the dogs are bred for their drive is a lot stronger overseas. And so a lot of them do come from the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Germany, and that sort of place.
Nice. And what kind of dog is Riggs?
Riggs is a Malinois Shepherd mix.
Okay.
So they call him like a Malaherd.
Okay. What is a Malinois?
A Belgian Malinois. They are a dog they kind of look like a shepherd. They're taller and lanky. They're usually like a fawn color with a black face. They are really known for their drive. They are extremely hyper, you could say. They really don't stop, can't sit still, but their drive, they make excellent working dogs, not great pets just because of that fact, unless you have the time to work with them. So they're just a super, super high drive athletic dog.
And how old is Riggs now?
Riggs is 10.
So people can't see him in here, but Riggs is 10 years old, and he's got the gray, going on in the face like my head. And as Chad was describing, the high drive, he has not stopped moving around here in our studio. He is trying to pick up water bottles. He's wanting to be loved on by everybody. He's
a sweetheart.
He is. He is a complete sweetheart.
He
with
almost
some
pulled my
gnarly
headphones
teeth.
off.
Yeah, got wrapped up in a cord. So he is true to exactly as Chad described for the breed.
Well, are the Malinois the ones that jump super high?
Yes, we have. So we have some of those on our department that have chased bad guys I've seen personally, and have a bad guy go over a fence and the dog will go over a 10-foot fence, no problem. So they will jump high, they will climb. They're just the super all-star breed of dogs.
So you're not getting away from Riggs or any of these, huh?
It's tough. It's tough. It really is. I mean, it happens, but not very often.
If they had opposable thumbs and could open doors, they'd be on them, huh?
Hey,
wow, yeah, that's for sure.
I had a Great Dane that, shit you not, got into 2 different cars at my house, and then one night during 4th of July, hopped a fence, went across to another neighborhood, and got into a car over there. Swear.
How?
He would bite. So he would bite the handles. One of them was a pull-out handle on an Acura, and the other one was a lift-up handle on a Tahoe. I swear. And then one night when I was working, 4th of July, scared to death of fireworks, and I came home after being off of work. The rest of the family was gone for that holiday weekend. Couldn't find the dog, and I ended up getting notified the next day from the sheriff's department out where I was living at that they had gotten a call that the dog had gone over to another neighborhood. A lady came out to her car at 1 a.m. and found a Great Dane in her car. Swear, no joke. So there's your opposable thumb story. Just Sean Larkin random thoughts. But anyway, so you're Chad Murtaugh. Dog's name is Riggs. No coincidence there, I'm sure.
No. So ever since being on the department, I would people would say, "Oh, Murtaugh, you know, that last name, they're from Lethal Weapon. Where's Riggs? Where's Riggs?" And they would joke a lot. And so when I got into Canine, I was like, well, you know, here's Riggs. We got to have Riggs now. So I named him that. I'm the kind of the older one that's getting too old for it, and he is the crazy one. So he kind of keeps me busy.
So what do you, when you go on patrol with him, you say that you always go into all the hot spots if there's violence going on. Is he trained just as an apprehension dog? Does he do other things? Is he used as a drug dog? Is he used to sniff explosives? What kind of stuff does he do?
So he is a patrol dog. Part of our program is a patrol dog. So he is dual certified. So he is certified, like you said, in apprehension to apprehend. And he's also certified in narcotic detection. So he would go out and he could alert to the presence of narcotics in vehicles, in schools, in lockers, in bags, pretty much anywhere someone would put them. So he's dual purpose in that aspect, and that's what a lot of our patrol dogs do, just so we can really utilize them on patrol on a daily basis with our department.
Was there one of the narcotics that he liked more than the others to sniff that he would just go crazy for?
You know, a lot of our patrol dogs, truth be told, that once they have the apprehension part of it, I mean, the narcotics part is not very fun. I mean, they would do it, but
right.
You know, I mean, they would rather catch bad guys.
They would rather play.
Yes.
And how for the dogs that do, you know, your dope dogs and stuff like that, how do they, I guess, how do you train them? How do they find, you know, the various odors between methamphetamine, you know, heroin, cocaine, marijuana? How are they able to recognize those?
So part of our training is they call it like you imprint your dog, you imprint them on that scent, and that's like Pavlov's theory. I mean, it goes back to school. So you're teaching your dog when they smell an odor, they have a response, which is to sit, a passive alert for our dog, and then they receive an award. So, and their reward is it could be either a food reward, but mostly it's a toy reward, like a ball or a Kong. So it's just repetitive exercises that you do with the dog, and they learn that odor. When they smell that odor, they learn the behavior to sit, and then they receive a reward. So you train it with them every single day, and at first you kind of let them smell the odor and you tell them to sit, so they learn that behavior, and before you know it, they're doing that on their own, and they get certified through an outside agency, and they do that once a year. They would be certified for their narcotic detection.
Is Riggs the only dog you've worked with?
So I also had the opportunity when I worked with Sean, I worked an ATF explosives dog, and had the fortune of doing that after I worked Riggs. Was
he also a Malinois, Belgium dog?
He was a she.
Oh.
Yes, he was a she, and
proper pronouns here.
Yes, okay.
On this show, proper pronouns.
Yes, so her name was Mimi, and she was actually a yellow lab.
Really? Like a family dog?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Super social. I mean, just a sweetheart of a dog. I mean, they run them through we went through the ATF's academy for doing it, and a lot of the dogs that they get come from a program. It's called Paws Behind Bars, which the dogs are actually raised in prisons by inmates. So it's kind of it lets them, helps with rehabilitation. They get to do something to contribute to society and help everyone out. Then the ATF, we get the dogs and start the training process with them. So it's kind of full circle in the law enforcement world.
Hey, that's great.
No,
I mean,
it is. And, when Chad came into our unit, into the crime gun unit at the time, we were fortunate. There was ATF funded we call it just the gun dog. That's the term we use for it. Funded the gun dog, funded Mimi. Chad applied for the position. He was coming out of Canine with Riggs and, was selected to be part of the unit, was without a doubt the right person from the get-go to have a dog in that unit. And then he had to go away for training, which was, how long was that?
It was about 10 weeks right outside DC. So at their facility, it was a long time. It was 7 days a week, for 10 weeks or so.
was that training for you or for the dog?
It's kind of both. The dogs kind of are imprinted with the explosive odors before we get there a little bit. And then we get there, and if you've never handled a dog, it kind of go and teach you how to handle the dog. Having previously handled one, so I kind of understood the aspect of it, but you're continuing to train the dog and push the dog and put them in harder situations so that they're able to perform when we bring them back home, and help protect the officers and help gather evidence to solve these crimes out here.
Hey guys, Sean Sticks Larkin here, speaking for the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund. Experience the nation's premier law enforcement museum in Washington, D.C., reopening August 27th. Immerse yourself in interactive exhibits and simulators that showcase what it's like to be in law enforcement. See the thought-provoking new exhibit, Post 9/11, The Evolution of American Law Enforcement, featuring artifacts, iconic images, and heroic stories of our fallen. Don't miss this transformational experience. Visit nleomf.org for tickets today. Well, when Chad came back with Mimi, she was in our office every single day, and maybe we can somehow load them up and put them in here to our YouTube video. We've got pictures galore of her both working, finding items out there with Chad, or just laying underneath somebody's desk in our office. She was a fixture there for sure. But he came back from that original school and literally had this notebook from the prisoner that trained Mimi.
Really?
And it was this entire, almost like what you do with a baby book when you have the first days, the baby pictures. This entire book was put together. I think it was written in cursive. Didn't they write in cursive maybe, or something like that?
It was pretty neat. So it was like Sean said, it was like a baby book, and it was a journal that the inmate kept every day. So as part of their training with the dog, they would take pictures and explain what the training that they were doing with the dog and socialization. It was like a diary that they kept. And so it's kind of neat to have that and see the whole story of the beginning of her life and her training.
Yeah, well, it's a great program, without a doubt, that some of these guys are getting to do with these dogs.
Well, again, I'm a nurse. I don't know cop stuff. So what's an explosive dog? Is it one that's real fast, like whoom? Or is it, obviously, I'm kind of joking, but they smell for bombs. Is there much call for smelling for bombs?
There is, in today's world in law enforcement, you never know what you expect to find out there in different situations. So there is a need, whether you're clearing a building for a dignitary coming into town, or like a concert, if there's a threat, different concerts or social events, gatherings, we're able to clear those. Also in crime scenes, they're trained in print on like finding post blast evidence, cartridge casings, firearms, that sort of thing. So they're able to do a lot.
And that's what Mimi basically did with our unit. Now, Chad was dual cross-deputized, I guess, with ATF. And so if they had something else going on anywhere else in the state, or literally anywhere in the country, potentially, he could have to travel with them for it. And he did have to do some out-of-state work with Mimi. But as far as an asset here in the Tulsa area for our police department, or even surrounding agencies, it was honestly mind-boggling watching Mimi work, because here was this little yellow lab that he would just take her off of a leash, and essentially, I guess, a grid search, would run back and forth, whether through fields, apartment complexes, and stuff like this, and this dog would just run in a matter of minutes. I've watched it happen. Would find a gun or a cartridge casing that had been shot at some point and disposed of, or just fell out of ejected out of the gun, and she would just sit down. And Chad, what was some of the ones that really stuck out to you, that the work that Mimi did?
Oh, wow. Her first her first true find when I brought her back, there was a homicide, an apartment complex here, and the suspect actually fled on foot from that. As he fled, later to find out he was reloading his revolver, put it as empty cartridge casings in his pocket, and actually one fell out and in the grass. So she tracked probably a couple hundred yards and was able to find that cartridge casing in some tall grass. Homicide detectives were there with us, several other people, and they saw that, and it blew their mind. We just stayed busy from there on out, finding murder weapons in the woods. She's found several guns used in homicides, several cartridge casings linked to several shootings throughout the city, not only in the state, all over. I mean, we stayed very, very busy once people saw the capabilities of her.
How far can she smell? I mean, does she have to be within like a 10-foot radius, 20-foot radius, or? I mean, I know dogs have tremendous smell, but I don't know how close she gets. Like if she rolls by and go, oh, there it is.
It really kind of depends on the situation and the environment. So if it's a smaller amount of odor that she's trying to find, if there's a decent breeze, they're able to work that wind and work the scent cone upwind, if you want to say that, and locate it. So, but if it's a bigger aid, if it's an explosive, you got to look at the available odor that's coming out of those aids and those explosives. But sometimes if there's a gun, like she found a shotgun that was used in a homicide that they had tried to burn, been in the rain for probably a couple weeks, and she was able to find that, pick up the scent. I watched her for probably about 50 yards away through the woods and just kind of work that scent cone and alert to the shotgun in the woods.
That's amazing.
No, it's incredible, and there was a pretty gruesome. Like I said, Riggs is like he's here in studio, as I mentioned earlier, and he is walking around. Right now, he's got a styrofoam cup that he is carrying around in his mouth, and maybe he wants some beer with us.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, but there was a pretty gruesome murder that happened in a suburb here of Tulsa, Broken Arrow, and suspects had fled, were on the run for a handful of days or even a week or two or something until they were apprehended, and information had come up that a gun had been discarded miles away, like thrown out the side of a road, tall grass, and Chad ended up getting called out on that, right?
Yeah, we did. I think the gun had been thrown out of a car, disposed of alongside of a road. They kind of knew the general area of it roughly, but it was a big, long area. It had been manpower intensive to actually get out and physically look for that by people searching. And we were able to get out there. I deployed Mimi and walked that area, and in just a matter of minutes, we're able to locate that weapon that had been, again, out in the rain. It was partially rusted, and locate that pretty quick.
So for explosives, gunpowder, that kind of stuff, so she's able to smell like what, 5-10 cents?
It's about 19,000 different combinations. So it's like precursors to explosives, explosive odors. There is just a ton of odors that they're imprinted on. Some are close enough that they will alert to them, like the precursors and stuff. But there is just a bunch that they can find.
You said 19,000, right?
19,000.
Like 19, 000. How do they, I guess, identify or find these scents compared to like us humans?
So
they sniff them.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, genius.
The dogs have this incredible olfactory system where they're able to distinguish the different odors. They're able to pull them apart. So like if you walked into your kitchen and someone was cooking spaghetti, you smell spaghetti, right? So the dogs can actually pull those odors apart. They can smell like the pasta. They can smell the garlic. You can smell the tomatoes. They can smell the basil. They can pull all those different odors apart and recognize each different part of that.
That's amazing. So is there anything that Mimi would alert to that was like a false positive, like there was something that tripped her up, like fireworks?
So she would alert on fireworks. That was one of the odors that she's imprinted on. But she would also alert on, we would do searches as part of search warrants, and she would actually locate or indicate on, like between the bed box spring and the mattress. She would alert there sometimes on a crime scene because that's where someone would shove a gun.
Oh.
So that odor is actually rub off and left its odor imprint, if you say, on the sheets, and she'd find it, or clothing where someone had fired a gun and shoved it down their pants. I mean, she could alert to the presence of that odor being rubbed off on that material. So it's not necessarily there, but it was there.
Well, that's great to know. Like if a suspect was wearing a certain thing, he had the gun, ditched the gun, but it's still the residue of gunpowder was on there. And I assume this holds up in court, right? Mimi is a great witness.
Yeah, she's she's certified. She goes through the federal certification. So and she's impartial too. So they don't have any type of biases or anything like that. So she just goes out there. She's imprinted. If that's the odor, she gets a reward. So.
And all that noise, if these microphones are picking it up, Riggs is just playing with a styrofoam cup right now on the floor, having the best time ever.
He's chewing it up.
But I do want to come back to Riggs and actually just talk about some of your apprehensions with Riggs. But before we do that, Mimi is trained a little bit different as far as how she is the reward, I guess, as we describe. Kind of explain that.
So Mimi is a food reward dog, whereas Riggs is a ball reward dog. So her being a food reward dog, when she finds an odor, finds that aid, that's how she gets paid. She gets paid in food. So that's how she eats every single day, 7 days a week. It's really labor intensive to work a dog like that, but it's really such a positive reward system for them. So 7 days a week, and my off days, we had to set up situations for them to work through, to get fed, to build that confidence, and that's how they associated their daily feeding. That's
a tremendous amount of work for you.
It is. It's a lot of work. So you don't have a day off ever. You're feeding your dog. You have to obviously feed your dog, so you're creating these situationals for your dog to work through and to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So even whether it be at our office, if we were out on something. And that's what Chad would have to do. I mean, if it was time for Mimi to have lunch that day or whatever it may be, he's got to hide various things, cartridge casings typically throughout the office at various places, and let her work. And so, she would go through their work, and every time she found something, she does her alert. She would sit, and then he would feed her, a handful of dog food here, and then she'd find another one somewhere else in the office, another handful of dog food there. And there was times that we had called Chad out for a shooting scene, or, hey, this guy, supposedly threw a gun out somewhere in this area. And if Mimi went out there and searched and didn't find it, Chad would then put an aid out for Mimi to find it and still get rewarded for doing her job.
What'd you feed her?
She got fed just regular dog food. So she didn't have a food bowl per se. Everything that she ate was out of my hand. So I had a slobbery hand all the time.
Sean has a slobbery hand a lot of times.
Whole different reason.
Yeah, I don't know what. But when you so where's Mimi now? I mean, you got Riggs with you.
Yep. So I'm actually got promoted. So as part of that,
Woo!
I have to. I had to send Mimi on her way. She actually got an opportunity, so she went back to the facility. She's back there right now. And she's going to be assigned to another person, a very lucky person, because they are getting a extremely talented, proven dog that's been in the field. So she's actually back there getting kind of like her PhD in explosives.
That's awesome.
And when you say back there, not back with our police department, back with ATF, right?
That is correct. She's back right outside DC in another program out there with another handler.
Yeah, man, she was I mean it, very, very fortunate to have both her and Chad in that squad, for the time period they were there. But she was, it was literally baffling, mind-boggling to watch. I'd never seen anything like it in almost 25 years of policing. I mean, it is a great, great tool. Any department out there that is fortunate to get the funding through ATF and get one of those, I mean, it is a huge, huge, huge asset. And as Chad mentioned, once our homicide unit found out about it, once some of our neighboring agencies found out about it, Chad was very, very busy. He was not in the office very often with us. He was constantly traveling to other parts of the state trying to help agencies out. And I mean, we got letters sent in from department heads or, people from ATF that had called Chad out and watched them work, and just they themselves would write, I've never seen anything like this. Such a tool. Thank you so much. So she will be missed for sure, as will Chad be from the squad. But as he said, he's promoted on, and happy as hell for him with that. But, man, Riggs, obviously you guys have this long-time bond. I mean, Riggs is retired, living at home with you now. you guys had some fantastic apprehensions throughout the years. Two things. Want to hear some good stories that really stick out to you with that. And also, you got to talk about Riggs' teeth here.
He got a grill.
He's got a grill. He looks like I don't know who we talking, Little Wayne back in the day or somebody.
Little Wayne still.
Yeah, he's got a grill.
Yeah, so Riggs actually has titanium capped canines. So it's kind of like a crown for you and me to protect his teeth and to increase the workability of it. He actually has 3. He lost one of them chasing down a bad guy when I think he bit into some rebar or something like that. So it's kind of got like a little snaggly tooth thing going on, but he currently has 3 titanium capped canines.
Yes, and they work. I can attest to that. Everyone that has seen the video will attest to the fact that Riggs still is very. I mean, he's 70 in human years, right?
Yeah, about that. So I hope that. I mean, I don't think I'll make it that long. I didn't think I'd make it to where I am now, but this is all bonus time for me. But yeah, he still gets around pretty good for a 70-year-old. The best 70-year-old I've seen get around.
Absolutely. Well, since I've been on the biting end of this dog, I understand how powerful he is now. Tell me about some of these apprehension stories that you have.
You know, one really that sticks out to me, come to find out from the backside of it, in the drug world, a bunch of people were involved in this methamphetamine deal, and one of their buddies was kidnapped. So they had devised a plan to do a makeshift hostage rescue of their buddy.
Okay, so let me lay this out.
Can you get them on this podcast, please? I'd love to hear this story.
So there were some meth heads that were battling with some other meth heads, and they took one of their meth heads from one group and brought him into the other group, and that group decided they were going to do a hostage rescue of their meth head.
Yes, they had actually kidnapped, and I think they were holding this guy hostage for whatever reason. So yes, they devised a plan to rescue their buddy.
This is some high level thinking
Top
here.
notch. Okay, so how did you guys get involved in that one?
So their vehicle used in it, they had decided to steal a vehicle. And then driving that stolen vehicle, an officer happened to get behind the vehicle during patrol shift and learned that the vehicle was stolen. He activated his emergency equipments with that vehicle, and a pursuit ensued all over the city. So I mean, they were taking officers on a ride. It was a pretty crazy pursuit off the highway, through the woods, through fields, and that sort of thing. This was pretty early in our career. I think it was probably one of the first couple apprehensions Riggs actually had. And that the helicopter was actually able to be up for this pursuit. They took over the pursuit, and he kind of wove through a neighborhood in East Tulsa. During the pursuit, he had thrown out a weapon. There was a couple weapons thrown out during the pursuit, and he ended up pulling him into a driveway of a dead end. You know, I'm sure he's thinking, oh crap, I'm screwed. I pulled down into a dead end. There's no getting out of this. So he jumped out of the car. We pulled around the corner just as a guy jumped out of the car. I stopped and opened my door for Riggs, let him do his thing and track down this guy that was fleeing from us. Well, going back and looking at it on camera from the helicopter, the guy had fled towards the backyard of a house. I saw that happening, and I was like, well, hey, how am I going to get my dog over this fence? I was pumped. Riggs going to catch this bad guy. This is going to be a sweet day. We love it. And come to find out, the guy ran back to the fence, turned around, and crept along a car to try and ambush us. We came around the corner, and we came face to face, inches from this guy. I was able to deliver a tactical strike to his
It's called
mouth.
a punch. Called
Yes.
a punch.
It's a tactical strike. You listen to the man. He said it was a
A
tactical
tactical strike, yes,
Yes.
of course, yeah. It's a punch.
Tactical strike to his snot box.
Hey,
And
that will slow you down.
Yeah, it will.
so he fell down. He still had a gun in his hand. And I was actually able to step on his hand where he had that gun. And he kept trying to pull the gun out, trying to manipulate the weapon. Well, at that time, my trusty partner came in and grabbed him by the calf.
Ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't good. The guy kept still fighting with us, and then made the ill decision to take his hand and try and strike Riggs. Riggs he let go of the guy's calf and grabbed the guy's arm. Eventually, we were able to, subdue the man and take him into custody, but Riggs got the better half of this guy.
I bet you. And so when the apprehension dog is trained to grab, it's not trained to bite and try to maim a person. It's basically, I'm going to grab, I'm going to hold you. Somebody's going to come get you. Because I've seen lots of police video. There was one on Live PD about a guy was just laying there and the dog had him. He said, and if he moved, the dog just kind of moved with him. So I assume this is the way Riggs is trained, correct?
Yes, they're trained to grab and hold, so they can slow these people down. So we're able to take these people into custody. It's a safety issue. It's a force multiplication tool that they're able to disrupt that person's train of thought, and we're able to take these people into custody. So the dogs don't have thumbs,
right?
So they got to use their mouth, and so that's what they do. They hold these people, and we're able to take them into custody.
Well, Sean says Great Danes have thumbs, so
yes,
yeah, that's what he was talking about.
I had a magical Great Dane.
But I assume if you start fighting these dogs, they're going to do their job, which is continue to apprehend you, and it's going to aggravate them.
Yes. So these dogs are all type A super alpha dogs. So they will not give up. I mean, if people will strike them, people will kick them, trying to wrestle around with them, and that makes them mad. It's not a good idea to do that. Several people have learned that, but they all want to win. These dogs are not submissive dogs. They're going to go out there and they're going to dominate that situation and take that person into custody. And that's what we want. It's not a vindictive thing, but we want them to be able to do that job safely in that high stress situation so that we can all go home safe.
And Riggs kind of had a little technique, if I remember correctly, that he would, when someone was trying to get down and dirty, he had his own little maneuver for him.
So sometimes, yeah, he would, some people would fight back and he would grab and he would alligator roll. And a lot of them will do that. They'll just grab on and just roll with that person. And so as soon as they start rolling like that, there's pretty much, instant compliance for someone that was fighting to begin with.
Yeah, with those metal teeth for sure.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you, I'm a pretty small man. I weigh about 135 pounds.
Yeah.
And
when you were like
Riggs was
12.
hitting me. Well, when I graduated high school, I weighed 135 pounds. So maybe I'm a little bit over 200. Maybe like 210, maybe 215.
At 5'3".
Yeah, I'm not 5'3", or producer is. Riggs hit me, and he almost knocked me down, and I knew he was coming. I had that arm bar up there. He hits with power. Like when he went to bite me, he jumped and lunged at me and knocked me back. I mean, and I was ready for that. I can't imagine if you're running and he comes up from behind and knocks you between the shoulder blades, what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, these dogs, Riggs in his younger years was a beast. I mean, he was pretty yoked up, and they come at you. I mean, he's 10 years old coming at you like that. So they definitely hit hard and take care of business.
Heck yeah.
And speaking of take care of business, you as a nurse, you've worked in the ER. You seen any guys come in with dog bites, whether police dog bites or just kids getting bit by the family dog, anything like that?
I have seen dog bites before. They are mangled. It's hard to stitch them up. The skin's all over the place. And the ones that I've seen haven't been from police dogs. It's been from more like rabid dogs, pack of dogs, that kind of thing. And they just tear chunks out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, part of it, we make sure the people that are apprehended get the medical treatment that they need, to make sure that they're good to go. So we go with them to the hospital. And I will say, you being a nurse, they are usually our biggest fans and kind of get excited when they see, the police coming in with an apprehension.
Yeah. We're kind of bent. We're kind of weird. We like gory stuff. I don't know why it is. And most people, the things that we talk about at lunch in a nursing break room will make most people just
Well,
leave.
you see stuff, that everyday people just don't see. I mean, it's abnormal things to look at, so you're going to talk about it. But, I obviously was not in the canine unit. I have seen the dogs do their work. There was one pursuit that I'd spotted this stolen Suburban. We chased these guys. The driver bails out and runs, and Jack Pike, who was a canine officer in our department for years, now retired, I think he had a Shepherd, if I remember correctly. He had a Shepherd, but ends up finding the driver of this car, and the guy resisted arrest, and he gets bit just in the calf. So Jack has to go to the hospital because, his dog did the bite. I was the pursuing officer. It was my arrest. I had to go to the hospital and wait for this guy to get cleared. And the suspect was great. I mean, he wasn't a problem for us, but when they were using, I said, what is it, like a saline solution or something, I guess, to try to clean it out. You had to rinse it out. So they're shooting it into one side of his calf, and it literally is shooting out of a hole on the other side. I mean, just a through and through dog bite. I mean, it was gnarly to see.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Well, Chad, we're about out of time here today. We really appreciate you coming out. I really appreciate you teaching Riggs how to let go of me once he bit me. That was fantastic.
Thanks for having us. It's been fun, and it's always fun to see to Riggs work. So if you ever want to experience that again, just give us a call and let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we cut the camera off, let's see if we can get Riggs up there. Let everybody, pop up in the camera next to you.
I will like to say big thank you to the Retired Canine Foundation.
Oh, wow.
So as Riggs is retired, so when the dogs retire, the medical expenses for their care is on us. So the Retired Canine Foundation has stepped in, and they actually sponsor Riggs. So they take care of all of his veterinary needs. So a big thank you to them.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll put a link on our Instagram to them. He's found another styrofoam cup, I bet you.
Yeah.
Come here, Riggs.
He's looking tired. Let's get old Riggs up here.
There's Riggs.
There it is for everyone watching on YouTube. There's old Riggs, little gray face.
We'll take a picture of Chad and Riggs together.
Show one of those teeth. Can you show a tooth?
He's got his,
all right.
his bad side here.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. All good. Riggs, Chad, man, big thanks, brother. Enjoy that promotion.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks.